A ship cut through the bright blue ocean, its white sails full against the wind. From the deck, Theo finally saw their destination. The legendary floating archipelago came into view, a merchant federation so unique that even the emperor recognized its autonomy. However, its history took a dark turn when Troyven occupied it during the war, reducing it to a production base that eventually sank and vanished from the map. Theo was determined to change that fate. Antonia needed reassurance that Theo wasn't just bluffing, especially about the incredible feat of moving the entire archipelago. Theo simply smiled. He explained that it was possible because the sea dragon sealed beneath the waves was the guardian of an ancient relic. In a memory, Theo stood before 4 great dragons, who confirmed the Dragon Slayer sword was indeed an ancient relic. He wondered why, if it was a relic, it was so incompatible with his family. A dragon explained that its guardian had abandoned its duty and escaped. Another dragon coughed awkwardly, having set the precedent for playing hooky from divine duty. Theo asked if they could all escape by paying a price, but the idea was dismissed as ridiculous. Only the original guardian possessed the unique power to escape and survive. It was a being so powerful, its mere presence kept the islands afloat. A realization struck Theo. If he could subdue it, he could theoretically control the archipelago himself, though he'd have to seal it again first. The dragons warned that even in its weakened state, the guardian was still immensely powerful. Theo, however, was confident, claiming he had a plan for everything, from reaching the seafloor to sealing the beast. Back in the present, a crewman expressed his disbelief. Antonio, his home's fate on the line, shared the worry. Theo brushed it aside, telling him to just get him there. He promised to save it, a new subquest materializing before him. That night, they docked at the archipelago. In a cellar filled with barrels, Antonio briefed his resistance fighters. Their mission was to guide Theo to the cream-hilled statue. Theo would handle the rest. Since Troyven had bribed the major families, they would use a secret infiltration route. The men roared, ready to fight for their home. Antonio placed his trust in Theo. The Black Skulls looked on with grim determination. They approached the colossal stone statue of a coiled dragon under the moonlight. Guards patrolled the high walls, oblivious to the group slipping through a hidden entrance below. Theo surveyed the area as a resistance member opened a secret hatch. They emerged inside, near a waterfall that masked their sound. Theo drew the Dragon Slayer sword and told the men he could take it from there. One of the fighters stared in awe at the legendary blade. Theo could feel the sword's power growing stronger. He looked up. The source had to be at the top of the statue. Suddenly, enemy soldiers ambushed them. As the resistance fighters were cut down, one cried out with hope, realizing Theo truly possessed the sword. His hope was short-lived. An enemy commander grabbed him and declared he would retake the stolen sword. Theo leaped away from the fray, landing on the statue's head. He felt the intense reaction from the sword but was unsure what to do next. The stone beneath him began to crack. He tried placing the sword on the statue, but nothing happened. Remembering the quest details, Theo drank a potion. As an enemy charged, Theo vanished. The soldier froze in confusion. Theo was gone. He reappeared in a flash, kicking the soldier from behind. The enemy leader, Gray, landed gracefully, confirming he was fine. Theo warned the man's subordinates not to engage recklessly. Outside, guards heard a loud, shattering noise. The sound echoed across the courtyard. One guard pointed in terror. The others stared in disbelief. The massive cream-hilled statue was crumbling to pieces. The ancient stone dragon shattered into dust. Outside the crumbling, cream-hilled statue, Antonio's men grew restless. A lone survivor rushed out, reporting that Gray's men had turned on them. Antonio cursed, realizing Troyven's forces had infiltrated his own. Inside, Theo fought his way through the traitors, leaping down the collapsing stairs. He sneered at his enemies, noting they were only stalling for time. They had taken control of the district, intending to wait for reinforcements. Theo declared that wouldn't happen on his watch. He tossed a strange, ornate box toward Lord Gray. The box landed at his feet, and Gray's eyes widened in alarm. He ordered his men to stop Theo, but it was too late. Theo realized he'd been overthinking things. The quest was simple: return the sword to its rightful place and defeat the Guardian. The sword was reacting most strongly here, so this had to be the place. He plunged the Dragon Slayer sword into the glowing box. The box clicked shut, and both Theo and Gray grimaced. A blinding flash of light erupted, and Theo vanished into the portal. Outside, the guards heard another deafening crash. The sound of breaking stone filled the air. A guard pointed in horror at the cream-hilled statue, which was now collapsing entirely. The colossal monument crumbled into a pile of rubble. The ancient stone dragon was no more. Theo awoke in a daze, his head throbbing. He found himself in a sun-drenched forest, recognizing it as the relic's dungeon, the creature's lair. His dragon companions manifested around him in grotesque, chibi forms. They explained their ridiculous appearance was due to his low mana. They were also curious, having sensed the relic guardian's deep longing for a human. Theo wondered if that human could be Kriemhild. The dragons didn't know for sure. Since the guardian was gone, Theo decided to explore. An arrow flew from the trees, shot by a skeletal archer. It sped toward Theo, who caught it effortlessly. He had been told this was an ownerless house, but it seemed more like a real estate scam. He was surrounded by skeletal soldiers. They identified him as an intruder and swarmed forward to eliminate him for Kriemhild. Theo understood now. They were protecting the ownership rights of the long-dead hero. He blocked an attack and shattered a skeleton skull with a swift hit. He figured he just needed to take them all out. A dragon spirit warned him it wouldn't be that easy. As the skeletons began to reassemble and grip their weapons once more, the spirit identified them as undying soldiers called Dragon Fangs. Their red eyes glowed menacingly. Theo admitted this might be tougher than he thought. He fought against the endless horde, knowing he couldn't keep it up forever. One of the dragon spirits offered a piece of advice: tell Kriemhild to surrender his ownership. Theo scoffed at the idea of negotiating with a legendary hero. The spirit called him an insolent mortal, giving up on the idea. Suddenly, a new quest window appeared before Theo. The dungeon was a final gift from Leviathan to Kriemhild, and Theo's task was to retrieve ownership of it. The words echoed in his mind. He realized the griffin spirit might have been right. He fought with renewed purpose, smashing skeletons with his fists. He dodged and weaved through the horde as a system message announced the activation of hatchling synchronization. If his hunch was correct, he could now see the flow of mana. A surge of energy pulsed through the battlefield, and in that moment he found it. He recalled that one of the soldiers had run away from the fight. He zeroed in on the fleeing skeleton. Using the lightning dragon flash technique, he shot forward, unleashing a lightning needle. He landed gracefully as a notification confirmed he had collected one of Kriemhild's 206 remains. A glowing red energy formed in his hand. It was Kriemhild's third cervical bone. He was right. All he had to do now was collect the rest. Back at the docks, a storm raged. Ed Troyven met Antoniu, commenting on his late arrival. He noted that the fog made things easier. The pilot looked at him, confused. Suddenly, chaos erupted on the ship. The passengers were being slaughtered. From the shadows, Noel of Troyven's 9 lords emerged. He mused that it didn't matter who held the Dragon Slayer sword, because the floating archipelago itself was already in their hands.